So I've had a lot of comments lately on my YouTube channel here, and they're all asking the same thing. I'm interested in starting a farm or a homestead. How do I get started? So I've decided to make a video. I'm kind of surprised. There are several, if not dozens of videos like this on YouTube, but there's a big thing that each of them are missing that I want to hit today. As it's winter on the farm in Southern Ohio, we've got a 60 by 40 barn. We have 30 acres, all fenced, automatic waterers, electricity everywhere. We have a 60 by 100 barn over here, multiple tractors, a house. I'm 43 years old. How did we do this? How does somebody pay $10,000 an acre for a farm, have cattle, chickens, and pigs? How do you even make that happen? But today's video is going to be specifically what to do, what I think you should do when you make the decision. We want to become a farmer or a homesteader. We currently live in the suburbs. We currently live in a city. We currently have an apartment. Whatever your situation would be, the first thing you should do is not to go buy land. It's not to go buy a farm or a homestead. So this is what this series is going to be about. My viewers asked for it, and it's all coming up. We're going to do probably a 3-part series on how you get started in a homestead or a farm, where to begin, how much does it cost, what do you do first. It's all coming up. Stick around. Well, hi, I'm Jared from Strong Roots Farm. I appreciate you joining us. Today, I am going to release a little bit of information about myself, my personal finances, how long we've been here, where I came from, and how I got here. And it's kind of a touchy thing for me because I'm telling you and opening up to you about myself. I want you to understand I'm doing this so that you can understand you can do it if I can do it, where I came from and what I have now. I'm not doing it to brag about what we have and how good we are. This is the only way I know how to help people get started. So please have a little bit of grace with me if you think I'm bragging about something that we have throughout this video, and I try to be a pretty humble person. But let's get started with this. Well, I have no idea who's watching this video and where you're at today, so I'm just going to give you some examples of what I have received in emails. I get a lot of emails, and they kind of sound like we're a small family, we have young children, we don't make a lot of money, we currently live in X place. We really know absolutely nothing about farming, we can't even grow a garden, and we don't have a lot of money. Can you please help? Help us how to get started. And so I'm gonna try to do that and understand that I grew up on a farm. I did not have anything when I started farming. I started with absolutely nothing. We'll get into my life story a little bit in the minute here, but I had the knowledge and experience somewhat. I farm today completely different than I grew up. I grew up on a big ag family in a large commercial hog farm. We had 2,000 acres roundabout some of the time in grain. We had upwards of 1,600 hogs at one point in time. We sold to different markets, but that is not how we farm today. We are a small regenerative farm. We raise grass-fed beef, pastured pork, pastured eggs. We're all about health here on our farm. We try to do everything natural, no chemicals, no antibiotics for our animals. And it's all about what we can provide health for our family. And honestly, this is why a lot of people have decided to get into a homestead or a small farm. Now, I want you to know YouTube is not enough. I am not an expert. I am not the gospel. So you will need not only experience, but you will need to educate yourself in other ways. This video is simply an avenue to help you get into a small farm or a homestead and to help you get started. The best way I can help you as we get started in this series is for you to know where I came from and how I did it. I have a lot of experience. I've worked with a lot of people consulting on their farm or their homestead and heard their stories. I've read stuff in books about how people started, and I've watched YouTube myself. But really, the best information I can give you is how I did it. So I told you I've been farming for about 15 years. If you watch my channel, you've seen some of the stuff that we do. But we did not get started. We have actually been doing homesteading type stuff for about 18 years. And so we did not get started on a farm. The way I made my money, not only am I an engineer and I worked a job, but we spent basically 10 years of my life serving others for the first 10 years or going to school. So I was 4 years in the military, just over that, spent 4 years in college while doing volunteer work and working in a local hospital. And then my wife and I spent 2 years in full-time ministry on one salary that was less than a teacher's salary. So there was 10 years of my life that really got stunted before we got into making any money. So I worked as an engineer and we flipped homes. We've been married 20 years now. This is our 11th place. People say that that is nuts. They think we're crazy, and they are right. It has been a whirlwind, but it's how we made our money. I have skills of carpentry and electrical and plumbing, which I recommend you get. You're gonna need those on a farm, and I'm gonna talk about that in a bit. But that's how I made my money. We would buy a small, cheaper home, we would fix it up, we might do an addition to it, and we would flip the home and sell it for more, taking that equity and rolling it to the next place, buying a bigger place, or building brand new homes. I built several brand new homes. We moved into them, lived in them for a couple of years while we were searching for the next one, sold it, made a big profit, moved to the next one. I kept leveraging properties as well as working a full-time job and sometimes 2 jobs. The other thing we did is very early in our marriage, we went through Financial Peace University with Dave Ramsey. So we went to move debt-free. So we tried to pay off all of our school debt. We tried to pay all of our vehicles in cash. And that took a while, especially as we started to have kids. There were bills. We had debt. It's normal. It happens. But we tried to live without it, and we tried to save. We've been paying into a 401k. We've had investment funds from the very beginning. And then these housing things that we did. All these tools you see behind me didn't come overnight. The cattle, the tractors, all those things. It was slow purchases over 20 years. If I could do it over with the knowledge that I have today, I think I could get where I'm at today in about 10 years. So I'm hoping this advice helps you to do the same thing and speed this process up a little bit and maybe narrow your focus. So I went into all that, and trust me, I'm humble about this. I know that God has been a blessing on my life. There has been things that money has multiplied for us because of God's provision. And so I give him the glory for that. And I understand that that is a reason that we are blessed, and a major reason of it. He also gave me strength to work hard and work crazy like these people think we are. That they're not doing it, they're not farming, they're not building a bigger dream, and they wonder how we do it. And I'm bringing all this up because one of the things I get in the emails all the time is, how does anybody do this? It's so expensive. How do you pay $10,000 an acre and buy 30, 40, 50 acres? How does a young person, anybody ever make it in this homesteading game? And so this is how I did it. I'm just telling you. And I started with absolutely nothing. No inheritance, no school fund, no college fund. The GI Bill and working is how I paid for my college. So if we can do it, be encouraged that you can do it. It is not easy. I'm not going to lie to you. It was a lot of work. It was a lot of long days and long nights. It was a lot of struggle. It was a lot of tightening in the budget. And it's made me a tightwad, a little bit overboard, to the fact that I kept track how many times I ate out in 2024. Besides the week of vacation that we took, I took the family to the beach for a week. Besides that week, I only ate out 4 times at a restaurant in 2024. So if your main thing is, how in the world do we do it? These are some of the things you can do. Now, second jobs, take the skills that you have, leverage it, learn to save, pay off your debt. Okay, these are all the things you need to do if you want to become a small farmer or a homesteader. These are two careers or two lifestyles that will throw you into debt very quickly if you allow them. Banks will give you money and you won't be able to pay it back if you're not smart making these decisions. So I said in the beginning of the video, you should not buy land, you should not buy a homestead. That should not be the first thing you should do. Let's get into some of the things that I think you should do. Hopefully you've been a little encouraged. I know I've been kind of negative and talked about the struggle so far, but hopefully you'll see through the rest of this video things you should be doing now and you can afford to do for very little money to get you started right with your farm or your homestead. So the very first thing that I would do if I was starting today and I was in a situation of a subdivision, a family, wherever your situation is at, is there's two things that I would really recommend that you get, and they're both very cheap. One is education, and the other is skill sets. And so I'm not talking necessarily about cows or goats or doing veterinarian work or feeding animals. That's not the skill sets I'm talking about. I'm talking about mechanical, electrical, home rebuilding, building fence, those kind of skill sets you can do right now where you're at today. Redo your bathroom. Look at your house and say, what could we fix up to make this house worth more money? Build the equity where you're at so that when it's time to go to the homestead, that equity is in your home and you can pull that out to get started better. Be very careful of this though. So I'll tell you, there are certain things that don't pay back. Landscaping is fair. It's probably dollar to dollar back. Painting brings the value way high. New flooring, new carpet, it pays itself back very easily in the value of a home. If you have an old, outdated kitchen, you can spend a lot of money and not get it back, so be careful. Paint your cabinets, reface doors, get new hardware. Those things bring value back. And this is gonna be a skill set that you have to learn. You're gonna watch other videos, you're gonna read books, but fix the home up that you're at now, redo wiring, outlet covers, whatever it would be. Make your home nicer so it builds equity, but during that time, you're also gonna be learning skill sets. Do not hire this work down. Learn the skill yourself, because when you move to the homestead or the farm, you're gonna need it. Start changing your own oil. You need those skills. They may cost you a little bit for a little bit of tools here or there that you're gonna take with you, but you need to start building those kind of skills. What about education? That's step one. YouTube should be about 5% of your education total, right? And I'm not talking about going to college and getting an ag degree or anything like that. Spend very little money on this. You can get a college degree for about $6 worth of late fees at the local library if you'll invest yourself. Now, they're not gonna give you the piece of paper, of course, but the education is there. There's enough stuff in Google, there's enough stuff with audio books and Kindle books and getting books from the library that you can get an education and start educating yourself by reading. Turn off the television and start educating yourself. Most of YouTube, most of the shows that you see and download about homesteading and farming is just like Facebook. It's highlight reels. So you really need to read books and understand things. I'm gonna put some books down in here. I wanna let you know they are Amazon affiliate links, so I do get a few cents if you buy it. So if you wanna help our farm, you can use the link. I really don't care where you get these books. Shop around. I'm not trying to make money off of you, but I'm gonna give you the link so you can find the exact book through Amazon. It's the easiest way I found books. And I'm just gonna throw 5 or 6 books out there. They're random books. I would give you one about gardening, one about milk cows and homesteading, one about cattle. Just start reading. Just start reading and learning, highlight stuff, keep the book, paper tabs, whatever you have to do to pull as much education as you can for very little money. You can spend $100 and put a wealth of knowledge in your brain for that money just by reading books, highlighting, watching stuff on YouTube, those kind of things. That's step one. Let's say you put a budget of $200 to this. Buy some tools, buy some books, do that, start working on stuff. Then you say, we're gonna add $500 to our house. So now you've got $700 in and you're on your way to starting a farm or a homestead. Step 2 is gonna be another cheap step. Get connected with local people where you wanna be. So if you're gonna make a move across the country or wherever, it's riskier, but you need to get connected with people in that area earlier. So Facebook groups, start getting connected with farming groups, with grass-fed cattle groups, with homestead groups, get homeschooling if you're planning on doing that with your kids. Get connected with these groups on Facebook. Delete the other junk. Stop watching wiffle ball bats to the groin videos. Get rid of the other junk in your life. You have to clear that stuff out to give your brain space to learn and transition to this new lifestyle. This lifestyle is a complete change, so start doing it where you're at now. So in step 2, we're talking about community, building groups, finding people that you can connect with, like-minded people. In your church is a great place. If you don't go to church, find a local church. There's a lot of great people there that are interested in doing this same thing. Get connected with groups. That's step 2. The other thing in this that may cost you a little bit of money, let's say you put aside $100 or $200 to go to a few seminars. So a couple things, I'm not sponsored by any of these groups, okay? So I have met Joe Salatin probably 5 times, and I watch a lot of his stuff. I've been to some of the seminars. I've never actually visited Polyface Farm, but I have lots of friends who have, and of course, you've probably seen most of it on YouTube from other people going, but you need to find some seminars. And so I'm gonna throw a few of these names out there, you research, and you figure out the ones that you want. So the very first seminar that I went to was a Rogue Food seminar. It's ran by John Moody. We went to that. That's where I met Congressman Thomas Massey, and Joel Salatin was there, and we got to meet and connect with a lot of people. A lot of good things go on, and they talk about food. It is completely, how do we get away from nasty food and put healthy food into our body and keep the government out of telling us how to do healthcare and food and all these things. So there's some really far-winged people. Whatever wing you're on, they're far-winged at some of these things, but go and pull out what you can from these. So Rogue Food is the first one. Homesteaders of America. They have a conference every year. I recommend you go to that. That's a good one. I've never actually been, even though I watch seminars from there. There is a few other things like that on YouTube, on Facebook. So find some seminars locally, hopefully to you, or take a weekend, get a little weekend trip and go to one, and invest $100, $200 into tickets and go to these things, meet these people, get connected, take brochures. That's where I would start too. So I'm $800, $900 into it in the first 6 months. I'm educating myself, I'm fixing my house, I'm getting connected with groups, and we've been to a couple seminars and we got our picture taken with Joel Salatin. You're getting started. Step 3. So now we're gonna start spending a little bit of money, but I'm gonna kind of rein you in here. So one book that I recommended down, or that I will recommend in the description, is a book by Curtis Stone. He's a guy from Canada, and his book is called The Market Gardener. It's the system that we use. There's 2 main books for gardening that I would recommend: Curtis Stone's book and J.M. Fortier's book, Over Market Gardening, How They Garden. These are 2 very good gardening books that are downloaded below you. And that's what I would start where you're at now. But I would not garden like they do where you're at now. So here's some things that I would do differently. So if you have a garden space where you're currently at, I would garden like they garden now. But if you don't have anything and you're just starting out, I would start with some raised beds or container gardens that you can take with you. And so as you start learning and doing stuff around your house, you want to do stuff that you can take with you a year, 2 years from now to your farm or your homestead as you get started. So you're learning this stuff, you're paying off debt, and you're gonna start stuff that you can take with you. So one thing that I would do is I would start trees. Trees take a very long time, but you can do them in pots. Get you some black walnuts or whatever, get little sapling trees, and you can get 2 years in a tree in a pot, or plant a row of them in your backyard about a foot apart in a row that you can dig up, put in pots, and take with you when you leave. So get some trees that you can then put on your new homestead. They can be fruit trees. I would not recommend fruit trees transplanting and those kind of things unless you're planning to move in within 2 years. But don't buy a 6-foot tall tree. Buy a cheap, short sapling tree or seeds to start trees. Start you some trees. Start some container gardening. So get bags. I grow potatoes in containers. Still to this day, I don't grow them in the ground. So potato gardening in containers. Then you take your farm with you to your new small farm or homestead. You're gonna start buying tools like pitchforks, rakes, wheelbarrow, small things that you're gonna need on your farm or your homestead. So now your garden, you're gonna invest, I would say $600 to $800 the very first year. Some grow trays. Do not buy a greenhouse. Do not buy one of these fancy greenhouse kits. If you're gonna want a greenhouse of some sort, buy some PVC and some greenhouse plastic and sandbags, and that is it. And build you the ugliest rinky-dink greenhouse that you can just to start stuff in and to play around and try. Do not buy a $1,000 greenhouse kit. Second thing I would do to learn what to grow is I would get online right now and register with Johnny's Select Seed. It's where we get all of our gardening seed. It's where Curtis Stone buys seed. We've been buying for there for 15 years. Get on there, register, and ask them to send you a catalog. Do not buy their tools yet. You are not ready for the tilther and the fancy gardening tools. Don't buy all that stuff. You're starting small, container gardening, buckets, whatever you can find that's free, or planting, and you can hoe and use fabric. So fabric, maybe a little bit of drip irrigation. I don't even know that I would start there. You're doing it on the cheap, but you can take the fabric with you. So that's what I would invest into a garden. Good seeds, some starter trays, maybe a little fabric, get some trees going for you. You can do all of this right where you're at. The whole time, you're gonna take it with you, you're getting tools, and you're investing in your education and knowledge. So I had to come into my freezer room. I am freezing. You saw my breath outside. It's only 45 in here anyways, but you kind of get the gist of what I'm telling you now. And I hope it's not too echoey in here, but you're gonna buy small things that you can take with you that don't cost a lot of money. Make things out of junk, okay? You can clean it up, put it to the side of your yard when you go to sell, but everything that you build where you're at, you want to be able to take with you. The only thing that I would build kind of big and maybe halfway decent is if your area that you live in, if you have a decent sized yard and you can build a mobile chicken tractor, I would do that for 5, 6, 8 layers, no roosters. Just start with some egg laying things, learn chickens, move it around your yard. You can build them so that they go over grow beds if you want to do that. This is something that you can then haul to your farm or your homestead when you buy it. Okay, so we're going to wrap this video up, and this is kind of part 1, and I want to go back through this. It's a long road to get here. You need to work to get debt-free before you buy a farm or a homestead. That is my advice. Spend time in education building equity in your home by fixing stuff you're learning and getting tools at the same time. You're putting away money in savings and you're paying off debt. You're going to educate yourself through books, through YouTube, through seminars. You're going to connect with people through seminars, through Facebook groups. These are the things you're going to do. And then you're going to start right where you're at. You do not need a farm or a homestead to get started. You need to educate yourself where you're at and start gardening, container gardening, build trees, those kind of things. The only animal I would recommend that you buy, unless you're already on 2 acres, is chickens. So egg layer chickens. Don't do meat birds. Don't get into all that. Don't buy a lot of stuff. Sell the things now that you don't need. Sell the junk that you're not going to take with you to your homestead. Stop going to all the extravagant things. This is a lifestyle you're about ready to enter. Start acting like it now. One thing that I am going to recommend that you do that will kind of help to keep you motivated and kind of help to keep you going is getting a farm logo or a homestead logo. So you can start dreaming, okay? So you see my sweatshirt here with our Strong Roots Farm logo. We've had this logo for about 16 years. I actually had the logo before I bought the first farm. And so it was the dream. So if you can get a logo, buy yourself a couple t-shirts, whatever you want to do, but get a logo, get a sign, get something to say that's where we're headed. Get a good budget and make a plan and work towards it slowly. So this is video one. This is all stuff you can do that you should do before you buy land. Up to this point, the most amount of money we have spent on our homestead is about $2,000. Do not spend over $2,000 prepping for this kind of stuff unless it's on your home remodel. And I want to talk a little bit about this so that you can kind of evaluate this. Look at what you're going to do to remodel your home, okay? Other than paint, say, are we going to do a kitchen? Are we going to do a bathroom? Are we going to change out the carpet? And say, okay, if we did that, we think our house is worth this today. Start looking on Zillow and the MLS in your area. Our house is worth this today. If we did this or this, it would cost us this amount. So a bathroom will cost you $3,000 if you do it all yourself. Does it raise the value of your home $3,000? The kitchen is what's going to keep our house from selling because it's beat up so can we buy just kitchen cabinet doors, paint our cabinets a nice color, sand by hand, paint with a roller, do what you can do. Will it raise the value of your home that amount? And so I would be very cautious with some of this stuff because you can spend money on a home remodel that you will not get back dollar for dollar when you sell. And we are going to remodel the home or fix up our home in order to build more equity for our homestead. That is the only thing we are focusing on. Not building it better so it's nice that we can have it and enjoy it while we're here. It's all about how can we get dollars back to head to our homestead. So you got to think about your projects in that manner. You might not buy the perfect knobs for your cabinets that you like because the ones that are just okay are half the price, but they're really going to add the value to the home. That's the kind of decisions you have to make when you're doing this kind of stuff to build equity in your home, when you're looking to add price there as a bank account to go. Well, there you have it. It was a lot of talking. I'm sorry I did not show a lot of stuff, but I hope this video helped you. I will continue to make these videos, how to get started, and you'll see our farm, and you know it took us 20 years to get here. So it is a lot of work and a lot of time and really a change of your lifestyle. The main thing is that most homesteaders, the average homesteader quits within the first 7 years. So I've said this multiple times on my channel. My goal with helping people is that you do not become part of this statistic. And I think one mistake that people make is they jump in full force. They think they have enough money. They think they're ready, and they jump in full force, buying the land, buying the homestead, and then they get there and they make tons of mistakes and they lose money, and then they give up because they find out how hard it is, how much money it took, and they sell the land. They're like, we can get out now. They sell that land and they move back to that subdivision. So I'm trying to prevent you to do that, and you will learn a lot through this experience of staying where you're at for a year, prepping to go to your farm or your homestead and looking around. There you have it. If this is your first time, please like and subscribe. Come along with us. We thank you for watching. Please comment. Let me know if you disagree with me. I'm okay with the disagreement. Obviously, be a little respectful, please. But tell me what you think of my advice in this sector, and tell me what you want to know about in the next video, and we'll go through that. Appreciate everybody and all your time. Have a good one.